You're listening to Women's Dream Enlightenment. Dream decoding, deep discussions, and spiritual stories of self-discovery to inspire your personal enlightened journey. I'm your host, Megan Mary, founder of Women's Dream Analysis. Let's bring in the light. Welcome. Today I have Sasha Lipskaia. She is an intuitive guide, international speaker, spiritual coach, tantric facilitator, and sacred intimacy mentor to soul-driven, powerful light leaders who want to experience deeper love, discover and live their divine purpose, and embody their worth with devotion, integrity, and faith. Welcome, Sasha.
Oh, thank you, Megan. It's really wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yes, so nice to have you. And I'm going to start by asking you the first question that I ask everyone, and that is, what does enlightenment mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. Enlightenment to me means being true to oneself at this moment.
Very succinct.
Yeah.
Going to get into what exactly is the self?
Exactly. That's what we're going to talk about. Does that even mean what we think it means? Yeah.
Precisely.
How apropos the fact that I am not, by the way, I said it twice in our conversation now. It's funny. Some spirit is speaking to me, but the expression apropos, which is a French way of saying on purpose, but it's on the subject, being on your podcast and it's women's dream analysis, right? And this question of enlightenment and then the self. And it just feels exactly where we need to go. Dream analysis of the self. Yeah.
Yes, because there really is the 3D self and then the universal self, 5D and above, right? And I want to talk today about really the journey that you've gone on, as well as the journey that so many women go on, where they discover that their self is not what they thought. And they actually have to surrender and release that old idea of the self in order to embody the new.
Yes, exactly. And back to why I even felt into that answer, because I've never said that before. Not that it isn't true. That's exactly what the truth was in the moment, right? And that's why it was so interesting for me, because I heard the question and then, like, well, the answer has to come from that enlightened self. So I checked in with that part of me, right, of my experience, which isn't an experience, but it's being experienced by me, right? Sasha Lipskaia on a podcast interview. I have all the titles you mentioned, and that is a facet of a human 3D self, which is necessary to do the things that I'm doing in the world at this moment. Can change tomorrow.
Right.
Change tonight. Does that mean that's me? And is that really who I was checking in with? Sasha Lipskaia, 38 years old, spiritual mentor? No. The part that I was checking in with and asking, what's the answer to this question, was that it was that, right? It was the enlightened self that isn't an identity. And it's not something I could explain, but I can experience it, right? And so that is, that's where we're going to go, because that's what really it means to become enlightened. It's the shedding of this experience of who you think you are, so that you can, with the light of your soul, literally, like the light of your soul, literally. I know it sounds weird. Literally, yes, literally, you will literally start seeing things from a completely different perspective as the self that has been to itself. So that's it.
So tell the listeners a bit about your spiritual awakening journey and what led you to do the wonderful work that you do now.
Yeah, so that has been my experience, that I don't feel like I've ever been asleep. And at the same time, a part of me wasn't aware of who I was, right? So the awakening that I've experienced had been a very natural and at the same time arduous road to shedding layers and layers and layers of what wasn't me. And knowing even 2 days ago, I was sitting right here and thinking, man, this space where I'm in now, the light that I feel now, enlightening everything I see, will require that I give up this as well, right? This identity. And that is that ultimate experience of nothing is ever permanent and everything will change and it will keep changing. The only thing that's constant is that awareness, right, of what's happening. And that is my experience. And why I'm doing this work is I realized that the only thing I've always ever really wanted to do in the world and found meaningful and really experienced as the most important thing in our lives is that experiential awareness of something other than myself in like literally in my body, right? Just there's something here that isn't who I think I am. And it's like it's talking to me, it's moving through me. It's like, it's actually physically asking me to do things, as in, hug this person, express your voice this way, say this. That's what I mean by movement, right? This life force moving through me. And before I started doing this work professionally, I'd always been doing this work. And so when I realized that people come to me for guidance, right? For advice, not necessarily what we would call coaching. That's one of the hats I wear and it's a modality I use. And that was one of the doorways into this work for me. So I could be professional. But coaching, in essence, is not something you would ever use if you were to give somebody advice, right? Coaches don't life coaching is not about giving advice. It's about helping somebody discover their own answers. That being said, people actually came for advice to me. Like they wanted a channeled, guided, tell me what to do with my life. Not because, Sasha, you know more than me, although that's what maybe they thought, but because something in them, I know, responded to something in me that wasn't my identity, but was what you're calling enlightenment. It was that part of me that was aware of this greater grid that wasn't 3D, that could give them guidance that wasn't of this world, but it was very specific to their life, right? And the question they were sitting with. And so I could see through everything they were saying and I could just see the truth. And that's what I'm realizing now, right? Because that's what I've recognized with my clients I'm doing. But my own journey meant that I actually didn't have that. Like I didn't have somebody to give me that guidance. And I didn't have somebody to channel through this is what you're calling it, right? So I did a lot of banging on the walls and trying to, how am I here? Who am I? Like, I don't belong anywhere. Like I don't fit in anywhere. I am having these weird, I know, right? Like I can feel that I'm living in a different way, but I don't know what to do with it, right? So I did a lot of study, right? I studied spiritual teachings, I studied different religious traditions, and I was always looking for one way to connect to that experience in my body. It's like, well, this is what it is. It's God. We can call it God, but I never really thought it was possible to call it that, right? So until very recently, I was, oh wow, all of that was, yeah, now I realize this is what it's been about. I've always known that. So I've been in churches, I've been in spiritual circles, I've studied yoga and different paths, right, that people take. And my own path really began when very, very, like I would say very young, but I realized early on that I knew who I was, I knew my worth, but I did not know how to embody it. Right. I didn't know how to transmit it. I didn't know how to be who I am, like really in my soul. So that's what we're talking about. That self that is limitless, that is abundant, that is powerful, that was able to channel this guidance to people that came to me. I couldn't be that. Right. So I can do that when I'm asked, but I can't live this way. I don't understand. Right. So I did a lot of soul searching. I started different careers. I followed them. I was an actor for a long time, always trying to find myself through the body, right? Through experience, through telling stories. And so all of that makes sense now. But at the time, it was like, not this, not that, but ah. And so finally, I had a real like dark night of the soul where I realized that I wasn't I wasn't myself really anywhere. And I was trying to play all these roles. And so I withdrew. And there I actually asked, I need some guidance, really clearly. I need guidance. And one of my spiritual guides is my stepfather, my father, who brought me up. He passed. So after he passed, I started feeling his presence. And I realized that he'd always been guiding me. But now that his personality was gone because he was passed, now it's only his soul, right? So it's almost, again, interpreting a dream. Like I've always felt that dreams will tell us this, right? But that presence was guiding me the whole path. But now it started happening very specifically where I was asking and I would hear, do this, go there, move here, start studying this. I was like, and I would just follow. And so eventually I realized that it was all guiding me towards the one thing, which is I had to create my own body of work. It had to do with spiritual, very clearly spiritual guidance for other people and myself. And the point of it was to find out who I was, who they were in our ultimate worth. Right. So that then involved studying with different teachers and different modalities and Reiki and life coaching, right, was the first kind of official name, doing a master's in feminism and intersectionality and understanding, again, my body, women, all of the things that affected me to understand my identity, right? That, oh, well, why do I feel this way? And then eventually I realized all of this is so that I know none of this is me. But also it absolutely conditions and colors and influences what I'm doing here. And what I'm doing here now, back to what I'm actually doing, is tantric work, which means that I use any and every modality. And tantra really isn't a modality, it's a technology. And what it means is you experience the divine, the truth, the self inside of your body, right? The body and your sexuality, your energy centers, right? Your subconscious mind, which lives in your body, right? All of that is absolutely sacred. It absolutely knows, right? That subconscious, that awareness that lives inside of you, that self without your identity, that's where you need to go. But to actually go there, you do need a path. You do need tools. You do need teachers. You do need somebody to hold you, right? And so it's not that you can't do it alone. Only you can, right? But you can't, well, I don't want to say you can't. There are people who do, right? They become enlightened. But I believe it's their dharma. They come here with that, having lived many lives and showing themselves this, oh, this is the life where I get to be. That's what I believe anyway, enlightened in this way so I can hold others in this way. I feel that I had to live many lives and come to a point of not quite enlightenment, right? So I came here to experience it, but not to leave this world. This is back to what is the self. The self is your experience of the whole world, every being in it, the cosmos, the earth, the rivers, right? Somebody dying, somebody loving someone, somebody killing someone, somebody being born, somebody making love, all of it, experiencing all of it within yourself. That is to me the ultimate self. Now, it could be overwhelming, and some people experience psychotic episodes when that happens. Like that's, we call it Kundalini awakening, right? There can go many paths. We're not going to go there because it's a very deep subject, but it's the life force. It's that self awakening to itself in your body because you've actually said, I need help. Like this, all of this is not actually real, but I know that I'm here for a reason. And so, what is the point of all of this? And why is it that I chose to be here? And how is it that I can use all of this to actually know the truth?
Yeah,
Right.
I
And
love those big existential questions. It is a delusion. And I say that all the time. Yeah.
absolutely. Right. Both end. It's an illusion. And also, yeah, if you came on my side of the world right now and you hugged me, it would very much be a visceral experience. It's a real hug from you. So
Yeah.
how can it be an illusion? But it
Yeah.
also absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just like a dream.
Yeah. And I love it. I love the story about your surrendering and asking for help because so many times that's really what we need to do to receive that information is to act, because of the whole free will thing. We're just not going to get it unless we ask.
Yeah.
And I think that the surrendering part is so important because it's an invitation for transformation that you allow yourself.
Yes.
And without being willing to, like you said, shed that the death of the ego, really, the death of the self as conceived by you, willing to let that go, to realize that you're so much more than that.
Yes, exactly. And also that is not evil. It's not bad. It's not wrong. That's what, like, oh, the ego. No, the ego is just not true. That's all it is. It's not wrong. It's just, of course, everything it says, everything that you will create from that won't really be in alignment with the truth. Right. And so the whole point of it is so that you get to the truth. First, you have to see what isn't. Right. So, like the shedding of the skin. Well, this isn't true. Let me take the skin off.
Right.
Oh, this either. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And all that. Yeah.
Ah.
And it's that facing the darkness, which we had talked about, and so much part of dream work is shadow work. Really, the shadow work is allowing to reveal those darker parts of yourself in order to transform them. Tell me a bit about your shadow work or your dream experiences as part of your journey.
Yeah. So I've always had very powerful initiations that have been many, which is why my story really is that, like you exactly picked it out. It was surrender. Like I really just asked. And also, I've been doing that since then, right? It's like, and now I ask again, like take everything away. And so with the shadow work, for example, I will say that once I realized that it was a very potent tool, and there is now, I also recognize there is sometimes a tendency to just really get stuck there because it gets really addictive. It's like, oh, what else, right? And just coming back to again, what is it that we're trying to experience here? It's like if it's enlightenment, let's focus on the light, right? The light, and then the light comes through the shadow, right? The deepest, darkest, most I don't want to see this. That will hold. I feel, and I know my own experience and my clients' experiences, just the most liberating, healing, and just all loving light through you, right? Like, oh my God, I didn't even know this existed in the world. That's what I've been looking for. This back to what we're looking for, enlightenment. Let's just say we're looking for love, right? That's what enlightenment offers, is that experience of love. I love, I love, I love. And I'm willing to sacrifice everything in that name, in the name of love. So that means, yes, I'm willing to look at the parts of me that I've been rejecting so I can love. Not so I can get enlightened, so that I can love it. In that experience, that's enlightenment, because enlightenment means you're not trying to do anything. You just are. You're aware, you're present, and you're absolutely fully saying, yes, I'm here for all of it, right? I am ready. So there is no I'm doing something. It's like you just are. And so the shadow work, in my experience, what it brought to me is really that capacity to see anything in myself and in others as a pathway to see God in them, to see the divine, right? To see the part of them that I might not even give a chance otherwise, right? But this shadow is like, oh, myself, and again, myself, we're always reflecting others, right? So if I'm judging something in others, me. So if I'm looking at you and I think, oh, let's look at the shadow here, like whatever you want to bring to the table. If it's a dream that manifested, if it's just your experience, there's a part of me that's really angry, right? And I don't want to look at her because she's holding on resentment. And what if in that moment I think, oh my God, we get to discover a part of you that you haven't learned to love yet. And therefore you will not only get to love that part, you will give me the opportunity to love that part, which is really all we want. It's not that we want to get love. We want to experience it. We want to experience love, which means I want to receive and literally just gift it at the same time. It's always a flow, right? And so in my experience, shadow work has allowed me to have a very specific tool right? And I use it in different ways. Like I will use sometimes I use this modality called internal family systems, which is a therapeutic approach. I'm not a therapist, right? But I have studied that way of working with shadows and parts of us, which what shadows are. And so it really helps to understand, again, that every part of you, the darkest, the lightest, every single part of you is sacred, and every single part of you believes it's trying to do something for your own good. That otherwise it wouldn't be doing, acting, creating, whatever it is. And so looking at it, you are finally allowing yourself the freedom from the fear of it to actually the love for it and what it wants to do for you, so that you can actually give it a chance to become integrated and become a part of your experience as an ally. And with that, have that capacity to hold that compassion for other beings, right? Because you're doing it within yourself. So for any healer, guide, teacher, and you know this is the work. The work is we are the work. We are the work. And I don't know about you, but my shadow, like, oh my God, right? They will come out. And it's not this drama. I was like, oh no. I was like, no, but oh, there it is. Okay, so what are we going to do with it? How can I love you? How can I receive the gift that you're here to give? How to move through this? And we said shedding the skin, right? Shedding the skin of what isn't true, while absolutely including, right? Including that part of you in your experience. And so, back to what we spoke about when we first met, it's a death, right? You're dying to an idea that the shadow is you. So you have to die. It's terrified because it doesn't want to die. And your work with it is to really understand that you are immortal as a self being, awareness, whatever it is. You cannot die. So whatever part of you is afraid of shedding skin and giving this up, it's not you. It's not you. That's all it is. So let it be afraid, hold space for it, integrate it, understand where it's coming from, why it's holding on, right? Like, no, don't give up the relationship. Don't leave the job. No, don't give up. It's okay. It doesn't want to die. I get that. And I want to live and be free, and I can't. Like the true me, the me that chose to be here in this body cannot die. So I'm going to focus on why I'm here, and I'm going to ask it to help me. Right. So that's where you actually have to work with it like a child and hold it and bring it with you. And so, a couple of years ago, I actually said to the divine, I'm feeling that this whole coaching thing right now, and I'm saying thing because it becomes an identity, right? It's becoming really laden with a shadow of desire for achievement and proving myself, right? And being popular and famous and all of these things, which is a big shadow for me. And I'm like, arrogance, essentially. Like, I need you to kill it for me and not like destroy it. Right. And at the time I wasn't doing this kind of work. I was working with shadows, but not in this way. So as I actually said, kill it. Like I wanted to die. And I just gave it to the divine and I went to sleep. And the thing is, this actual desire, this ask came back to your question. Why is this coming through? In my sleep. So I woke up in the middle of the night. I had this experience in my dream. It was like, something needs to die. I need to ask for help because I don't know what to do with it. I need you to help me die. That's pretty much what I said. And then I went back to sleep. And that I woke up and I was like in sweats and like something's happening physiologically. This process has begun. Oh shoot. Right. I activated something, but I also know that I asked for it. So I felt really empowered and really surrendered. And at the same time, like completely, like just had no idea what was going to happen. Right. But I knew it was exactly what my soul's asking for. So, okay. What happened is everything I was doing, it was done, destroyed in this, dramatic way. But yes, it pretty much was taken away. And I was given the space to have nothing, which is exactly what I needed, but also have the awareness of this self that I didn't have before. Right. So now I had nothing. And I had this experience of, oh, but I know how to hear the truth. So this is going to be hard because everything I thought I wanted is not really here anymore. But I'm still doing the work and I'm still me and I still am coaching, guide, and healing. I just don't associate myself with this, online coach identity, which is fine. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I might call myself that, but it's not going to be the same. And so I fully surrendered that identity. And what happened later was that I built the kind of the body work I'm doing now on, again, everything I'd been doing before, just laid the foundation, but I built it from a place of, it's not mine, right? It's not me. I get to do it on behalf of whoever it is that I was praying to and asking to kill that identity because it was sabotaging, blocking, distracting, right? And actually putting me in places where I wasn't feeling the truth anymore because I was almost like playing a role, right? I was like, no, 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 no. I can play a role, but it has to actually be coming from a place of this is what's required for the truth to come through. Not, I don't want to see the truth, so I'm going to play the role of I got this. Where the truth, I don't know. Help me.
There's a delicate balance there.
Oh,
and when we step into being healers and light workers, we come to that knowing our power. But then to help other people, we have to step into a role and we have to become a persona so that they receive what it is that we're here to give them and help them with. And then it becomes complicated. It's like the cart before the horse, because then we start clinging to that identity, which we had to create to reach the other people that need us. And it becomes this whole, mixed up ball of confusion because we're trying to shed our identity, but then we have to actually create another one and embody that in order to do the work.
Exactly. Exactly. And why this is so powerful to actually experience is it does take, many deaths of who you think you are to know that that process is perpetual. So that's where that capacity to expand and allow and really just trust, right? That you will shed every single identity that doesn't serve. So no one, right, will ever, ever, ever help or work. And therefore, back to what you were saying, yes, absolutely wear the role, right? The costume, to show up for work, right? I'm a doctor. Yes, you're paying me to do this. I'm doing this. And it's not me. And also it is, right? So it's playing in that paradox constantly, always. And being aware of it is the most important thing.
Right. And it calls into question the whole existential concept of alignment too, because to say, well, we're looking for that awakening so that we can get into alignment with our true purpose, but is that one thing? Or does that just change all the time? And we just have to constantly keep shedding and peeling and refocusing because the more that we learn and the more we experience and the more connections we make and everything, and the more change we affect and the more we heal. It's constantly moving the goalpost. It's constantly changing the need, the call. It's a little dubious. It's because many times we talk about it as this one fixed thing, like you just got to discover your purpose, and it's this one thing. You write it down, and then no, it's not really like that.
No, it's not. And what you just named is my definition of life purpose is actually that. It's the discovery of the truth. And back to what I said at the beginning of what the truth is in your heart, who you be in this moment, in your heart. That's your purpose. That's it. Be that right now. What is the truth? Right? And then how do I act from it? What do I choose? Why and what will I say? And alignment really to me is the alignment of I know, I feel, I think, right? I create, I do, I act, all being congruent, right, to the truth of your heart.
So, and in the present consciousness, like you said, it's not dwelling on the past, not focusing on the future. It's being here now and taking action with that inner knowing.
So that you can become the expression of whatever is required of you next, which you don't, which your consciousness doesn't know until it's expressed. And the only way to discover what it is to let it through, right? And trust it. And I feel like that's exactly what living on purpose, living your purpose, where you will always feel it. Whether I'm doing this today with you, right? And tomorrow I decide that I'm going to open an art gallery, it doesn't matter.
Right. Allowing that fluidity is important to emphasize as well, because we get so fixed on our identities and then we change it for another one and then we get fixed on that one. And it's really important to remember that that can change too, and that that may have to be shed, and that that's okay.
Yes. Every single day, to what you said, it's like it's an ongoing minute by minute. And that's why, I feel so, well, just grateful that I found and I gave myself a chance to actually understand what Tantra was about. Because for the longest, I rejected it. I was like, oh, it's about, orgies. And because that's, again, all of the Neo Tantra work, nothing wrong with it, right? But that's often creating this idea for people who don't know that Tantra is about sex. If anything, being part of your journey, right? Just that awareness of your sexuality being a way to connect to the divine, which I work with a lot now. And to your question, I had to shed a lot of identity to trust that this is actually where I'm called to go. And especially because of my resistance, I knew, and clearly there is some shadows here that are really resistant to even being curious and learning that it isn't what they think it is. Because what if it's this path to liberating them, right? These shadows of mine, the prudish, the scared, the I'm not good enough, the sexuality is evil, like all of the healing that I needed to do needed to come through in this decision. I was like, well, I'm going to shed this and we're going to do some work here. And I don't even know what it is, but I have a feeling it's not about what my mind is telling me. There is a lot more here. And it's always about, back to what you were saying, is this minute by minute choice of, well, I don't have any attachment, any expectation of myself to stay in this place. But right now, this is where I am, and I'm going to give it my all. And then when and if I'm called to completely give it up and surrender and move to the next thing or somehow incorporate the next, whatever it will be, I will trust it fully as well. Right. And so that to me, that's actually freedom. That's power. And it's simply the world that's reflecting the truth inside of your body, inside of your heart. And that's healing, right? That's you in your wholeness, constantly healing, right? Constantly evolving, always, always, always. The organism continues to expand, but you are not in resistance. You are not attached. You're not trying to keep it the same, basically kill it, right? You are allowing, you are receiving, and that's your feminine. You are submitting in a way to the force of consciousness. And then you are also with a consciousness that then moves and tells you, well, this is what's asked. This is what it looks like. Here is your container. I'm going to hold you. Are you going to walk? Are you going to dance?
It's really embracing your bodily experience, your physical manifestation, because so many times I find, especially when I get really lost in the inner world, I just don't even want to have to deal with bodily things. I don't want to have to go eat, stop what I'm doing and eat, or go work out, or all these things, because it's like, oh no, there's way too much happening in this everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
And so it's actually bringing the focus back into the body and the spirit having the body experience and why we are in the body, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's really bringing that focus back to that, which is important, because I think that could get lost when we're doing all this spiritual work and focusing outside of ourselves. I mean, inside, but
but
beyond the body.
But it's the problem. You're trying to find the truth of your heart, and then you're focusing it on, just escaping this world, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of you being here, is so that your truth, right, the truth of your heart can be free, not just expressed, but experienced. That's your gift, received. So you can plant your seed, right? So you could sing your songs, so you could literally uplift the vibration of this world with your presence, with your transmission of the truth, which is unique to you, right? That unique.
Yeah, precisely. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a love story, essentially. Like, I love myself and this world. What are we going to create?
Well, if you had some parting thoughts to leave with the audience, what would 3 things be?
First is breathe deeply. Like, put it on your phone, put it on your fridge. Breathe deeply into your heart. And it doesn't matter, right, what context this is even thought of, right? Just breathe deeply right now into your heart and then release through the mouth. And again, and released. And one more deep breath into the heart. Deep breath. Let your heart open and receive and surrender and release. Just that practice as much as you can, or as little as you can, just once a day, that intentional 3 deep breaths will change your life. Because in that moment, you are experiencing the truth within your body and you're with it. And if you want to, again, the second part would be have a very clear intention with where you are taking your life, right? Where you're moving. What is it that's calling your heart? So that every breath you take will be that intention in action. I'm going to move and breathe and live into that, right? And that's how we create our reality. And so embodiment is all about breath and movement and sound and experience, and energetic intention is what sets it into motion. So having the capacity to create your life, yes. And are you creating it intentionally? And is that intention coming from your heart? And is your breath actually informing it, right? Because your breath will reveal the truth. You'll see it. I'm constricted. I'm probably resisting something if I'm constricting, right? So if I can't breathe fully, there's something, right? And if I am breathing and I feel overwhelmed, well, there are feelings I need to feel, and if I am feeling really good and I'm really excited, but suddenly an idea pops up that has nothing to do with what I thought my intention was, what an amazing gift. You just had an insight that came through because you cleared the channel, right? Your intuitive pathway was open. So there's so many ways, right? You can take it. But the first is breath. Second is set an intention. So this is not a goal. It's not even a vision. Intention. What do you want to create in your life? And then the third one, I would say, I feel is going to just come intuitively. And I also know it's the most important one, even though the breath is tremendously important, is give yourself a lot of grace every step of the way. If you are on this journey, if you're listening to this, you are intentionally, right, looking to experience enlightenment in some way, shape, or form, to become aware of who you are without your masks, right? And to really live again that purpose, whatever that manifests as today. Give yourself grace and ask grace to be there for you. Every step you are taking has been divinely orchestrated for you. So if you allow for grace to actually come and hold you, every experience becomes a very powerful choice that your soul is making, and you are becoming aware of it because grace is there. And so that's how you transmute the past, right? And say, oh, I did all these things. Yes, my soul chose to do all of those things so that now I'm here and I now can see what I see. And giving yourself grace with the future, which you don't know. But in the moment that you give yourself grace, you are then back to what you said so beautifully, Megan. Allow and receive what the future is calling out from you so that you can allow yourself to embody. We can say become, right? But really, you already are that. You just haven't revealed it. So let's say become whatever that next expression of you in this moment could be, if you lived with intention, purpose, integrity, alignment, and a connection through and with your heart, right? To give whatever you're here to give and to absolutely experience all of this world because you chose to be here.
Wonderful. Well, if anyone can find you, if they want to find you online, where can people find you?
Yes, so very easy to find. My full name, not as easy to pronounce. So it's sashalipskaia.com is my website where you could find my, obviously, all the information that you need about me. Also links to my podcast, YouTube channel, blog. I write poetry. You can subscribe to my newsletter, and there are a few freebies that you can receive. There is a womb awakening journey you can take, an intuitive masterclass, self-love meditation, and also a manifestation practice, an embodiment practice, like a breath.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Sasha. It was a wonderfully enlightening conversation, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for having me. And everyone, we love you. We appreciate you. Keep dreaming.
Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? You can now send me a text message and share your experience. Be sure to subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. Head over to my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button as well to be part of my growing community. Are you ready to take the next step in your spiritual journey? Don't miss out on the new Dream Empowerment programs. Unique opportunities for you to unlock your inner wisdom, discover your authenticity, align with your higher self, and bring abundance into your life. If you'd like your dream or awakening story featured on my show, submit it today. Your dreams have the power to inspire and enlighten other women on their journey. Visit meganmary.com to find out more.